Anyway, you guys are great. I'm gonna be coming back up after Ross. I got to tell you, this is a treat for me as an art form. Stand-up comedy basically is you work alone, and I probably over the last decade have spent way too much time alone. And the voices in my head. So, but I don't get a chance to see my peers, and this is one of my favorite people. We started in the club together probably 30-some years ago, and with the opportunity, we called the church and asked if it was all right if we came in, and I get a chance to sit back and enjoy probably one of the best stand-ups in the country. He just finished performing for the David Letterman show, and he's a dear, dear friend of mine. Please welcome Mr. Ross Bennett to the stage.
Well, you're looking at me, and I'm looking at you, and right about now, I'm every bit as disappointed as you are. We will get through this. I'm a New Yorker. It's great to be here. It's great to be here in New York, Pennsylvania. I'm a New Yorker, but I'm not the New Yorker that you think of when you think of a New Yorker. Not from the New York City area. I'm from the rural western part of New York State, probably about 160 miles northwest of us. My hometown is Hornell, New York. Hornell, Steuben County, the Finger Lake region, Hornell, New York, a small town just on the outskirts of a Walmart. Because I am a real American. And real Americans live close to Walmart. 24-hour Walmarts if we're lucky. Because we're Americans and sometimes we wake up and we need stuff. We sit up in our beds. Woo! Oh gosh. Woo! I'm going to need a garden hose. I can't wait. I said I can't wait, woman. Don't hold me back. Is anyone like me? Sometimes when I shop at Walmart, I don't know what I need until I am in the store. Because I don't shop like my parents. My parents were very frugal people. They had gone through the Great Depression. When my parents wanted something, they didn't just buy it. First they would save. When they had enough money, they put the item on a list. And then they would go to the store and they would only buy what was on their list. See, when I go shopping, I don't have a list. When I go shopping, I have an hour. I grab a cart. Let's see what happens. Next thing, I'm in the checkout line. I look in my cart. It's like coming to out of an alcoholic blackout. I don't know what I was thinking. I always got stuff I don't need. I got a nursing bra and a canoe. And this is when I will often abandon my shopping cart. I'm not alone. They're all over the store. Half full carts. They should all have a little plaque. This is where a shopper came to his senses. Some of those cards have been out for a while. They'll have stuff from other seasons. In the middle of May, they got a cart with a bunch of Halloween masks. It's the most successful retail business in America in the last quarter century. I figured out why it's so successful. I think it's because they've always had a greeter at the front door. That's pretty smart marketing. They got a guy at the front door whose job it is to be nice to you. It's been out the important you people. But look at it. How many doors do you think I walk through where someone's happy to see me? I'm a middle-aged, divorced American male. For most of the world, I'm considered the enemy. When I go into a Walmart, one guy's just tickled pink. So hometown's Hornell. York, they think you're from New York City. They don't even know my part. I was working recently in Iowa. I meet this guy, he goes, where are you from? I'm from New York. And he goes, oh, New York? He goes, I know all about New York. Have you ever been up to the Empire State Building? That's presumptuous. I'm in Iowa. I don't assume this is your track. Now, out where I live, there's two kinds of guys. Two kinds of guys. You might have the same two kinds of guys around here. We got two kinds of guys. We got guys who go hunting and guys who go hunting. Now there is a big difference between the two. Hunting, you actually do for the good of the animal kingdom. They call it culling the herd. Culling the herd. You've got to kill off some of the deer during the fall, so there's enough for the others to eat throughout the course of the winter. That's hunting. Hunting. That's a little different. Hunting involves liquor and flashlights. You ever been on one of them 2-lane county roads and you see a sign with a bunch of bullet holes in it? Now that's hunting right there. Now, I don't actually live in Hornell, I live on the outskirts of town. Got a couple hundred acres of woodland upon which I built a log cabin from a kit. Because that's how you build a log cabin. The days of chopping down your own trees and holding them together with beaver dung are over. If you want a log cabin today, if you want a log cabin, where would you go? Where would you go for a log cabin? Where would you go? No, you don't go to Walmart. Don't be an idiot. Hey, I went to Costco. You've been to a Costco, you walk through the front door, can't see the far wall because it curves over the horizon. I'll tell you how big a Costco is. You ever seen an airplane hangar? Giant building where they construct enormous airplanes. You could buy those on aisle 7. Actually, I went one on the internet. Because that's where you get everything. I went to logcabin.com. I looked at all the models. I bought the James Garfield. It was basically 2-bedroom, 1 bath with a mud room. And I put it on a credit card. And they delivered my house unassembled in a giant cardboard box. Took a week to get the parts to my house out of the box. I was so tired, I started living in the box. But I hated it because I'm not white trash. And I use solar heating. I don't know about you folks. I have an environmental consciousness. I use solar heating. If you don't know how solar heating works, you know how solar heating works? It's like a greenhouse. If you put plates of glass up in your roof, that's enough. The sunlight will come through and warm the air of your house. Now, I want to turn the heat up one year. So what I replaced a plate of glass with a 7.5-foot industrial magnifying glass. Keeps the house toasty. One minor problem. You must stay out of my living room at 2:30. I have what appears to be a laser beam. Comes in next to the coffee table. Got a laser beam in my living room. I used to have a dog. Old curious Chester. Chester was one of those dogs. You know the kind of dog? They see something, they jump on it and play with it. Like a dust ball or a sock. Sometimes a 50,000-degree spot of light. He must have played with that spot next to the coffee table for almost a second. Only time I ever heard him say, now I want to take him for a walk after he's a dust buster. All right, some of you, you're taking this a little too seriously. For the record, no animals were hurt in creation of that stupid little joke. I'm just a comic. I look for ways to make people laugh. People say, Ross, how do you come up with your jokes? Some of your jokes aren't in the traditional setup punchlines. Most people are more familiar with a setup punchline kind of a joke. I'll give you an example of that. I've been married twice. I was widowed by my first wife. And then I was divorced by my second wife. Or as I sometimes say, my first wife died and my second wife wouldn't. It's a setup and then a punchline. I gotta be honest, as a comedian, I've been doing my act for a long time. I get bored, I get creatively bored. So what I will often do is I'll write the punchline first, and then I'll try and come up with a story to get the punchline. And that's how I came up with the joke about that stupid little dog. With the, this dog bursting into flames with that sound. I've been making that sound almost my whole life. Because when I grew up, I grew up in Cornell back in the 60s. We used to do something, they don't do this anymore, but we used to do this thing back then. They haven't done this for years. But when I was a kid, what we used to do is after school, we would go outside and play. Haven't done for years. And we used to pretend we were our fathers. Because our fathers had all been in World War II. And we used to play Army. And that was my sound for guns and bombs. Little boys, always, I know they always love to make sounds like guns and bombs. Every afternoon after school, I almost passed out on that one. You ever do that? You hold your breath and push too hard. And you just get all sparkling. Don't get up, by the way, I'm fine. What a wonderful congregation to have here. He's having a stroke. What should I do? I don't know if we're covered. I wouldn't touch him. Take a picture with your cell phone. That's good. We'll put it on the internet. It's my age. I'm at that age. All men get to this age. I don't know if women ever get. Now, what age am I talking? And I look out here. Let me see. Of course, you're not there. You're not there. You're there. You're there. You're there. I'm at the age I'm starting to make noises when I don't want to. I do any kind of work around the house. I make two noises. I make one noise when I do the work, and then another noise about a second later. It sounds like I'm thinking about the work I just did. I'll show you what. Is that your dad? Does your dad do that? Everything I do. I move a lamp in my house, a little floor lamp. I sit down, I come home at the end of the day, I sit in my chair at the end of the day. I make noises doing almost nothing. Adjusting the thermostat. In the winter, adjusting the thermostat, twisting the dial on the wall. It sounds like I'm moving a piano. Man, I just love being in front of a group of people where I talk about a thermostat, you get it. I was in Manhattan the other night, and I talked about a thermostat, I get nothing. Because they all live in apartments with radiators, they don't know what a thermostat is. I had to explain to some people in Manhattan what thermostats were like they were children, All right, gather around, listen up, gather around. Outside of the city, they live in houses. Yes, they do. They really do it. Inside their houses, they have a choice as to what the temperature is going to be. I know it's like science fiction. But it's not or they're running into their hallways on fire. The only way to effectively adjust the temperature in an apartment with a radiator, who knows, anybody know? The window, that's right. They raise and lower their window to adjust the amount of the Arctic air mass. We're going to let in, honey, it's getting a little toasty. I think it's time for another one of them nor'easters. This is kind of funny. You like it? I'm at a friend's apartment. He's adjusting the temperature with the window. So as a joke, I take a magic marker. And on the edge of the window, it's wrote in 78, 76, 74. I call that a Brooklyn thermostat. Brooklyn thermostat. Now, if we have any Canadians in it, I don't know if we have any Canadians, you need to know the proper punchline for that joke in Canada would be 22, 21, 20, because they're on the Celsius scale, which is a different numbering system. I always got to make sure Canadians get it. Oh, they're good people. But they're very earnest people. Canadians tend to take what I say very literally. I'm doing the joke the other week. I'm going 78, 76. Canadian guy stands up. My heavens, you're going to kill him. Doesn't he know? That's too hot. Turn him off. I've been married twice. I haven't been married twice. I don't know if I want to be married again. I sometimes think I'd like to be engaged. One more. I'd like to be engaged to the famous pop star Beyonce. Because I'm a comedian, I just think it'd be fun to introduce her to all my friends. And this is my fiance, Beyonce! Hey, now you know, my father used to make that same noise when he would adjust the temperature in our house, only then he would look over his shoulder at me. My father used to go, and look at me kind of, That's what there was happening. I think he thought I was somehow hooked up to the thermostat. And if he got the temperature right, I would become the son he wanted. There you go. That should do it. No, sorry. Now you would have liked my dad. My dad, I call him a classic American. He was a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel. A nice, mellow guy. Now I come from a military family. My father was in World War II. My grandfather World War I, so I enlisted in the Army out of high school in 1973. I just missed going to Vietnam, but I was in time for our country's war on drugs. Technically, I fought for the other side. I've been clean and sober for 27 years. I went to West Point, the military academy at West Point. I enlisted in the Army, and back then they look at your stuff and go, this is what I think you should do. And they sent me to West Point, and I resigned after a year and a half to become a comedian. The more I think about it, probably the greatest service I would have ever done to my country. I've got a son, brother. My son and I, we communicate very well. My father and I, my father had these reflexes, combat reflexes, which were necessary in battle, but unnecessary at dinner. It's dinner, drop a potato, pick it up, don't jump on it and tell the kids to run. Give you an idea of my father's reflexes. I once spilled a glass of milk at dinner, and my dad yelled at me before the milk hit the table. The milk was literally arcing in the air. And like a drill instructor, he was out of his chair in my face. What do you think you're doing there, bonehead? Bonehead, you filled your glass of milk communicate a little bit better. When my son turned 17, he got his driver's license. We signed what was called a SADD contract at the time. SADD was Students Against Driving Drunk. And here was the deal. We signed this agreement that if he took the car and went any place, for some reason had anything to drink, he made a promise to not get in that car, but to call me on the phone. And apparently, according to the contract we had signed, I was going to be more than happy to have a bed at 3:30 in the morning and go out and drag his little drunken butt back home. Well, what the heck? I was going to Walmart anyway. I'm just glad he trusts me, because that's all a parent really wants. A parent really just wants to have a relationship so if their child has a problem, they will feel safe to come to them with their problem. Now, to be honest, I don't think I've ever called my father a drunk when I was 17. I do not see that phone call to the curb. Dad, I need you to come pick me up, because even if I was sober, I couldn't get the car out of the pool. Then I would hang up the phone and wait for the arrival of Mr. Understanding. And with his reflexes, I wouldn't even get the phone halfway to the hook before I would see him kind of fishtailing around that corner, driving up in a classic American automobile. I think some of you probably own this car. The Ford Country Squire Station Wagon. LTD. Lunatics Transportation Device. Cream-colored, tan-trimmed, artificial wood paneling. Because in the 1960s, in America, nothing showed good taste more than fake wood. It was a great car. It had 3 seats, had a front seat, a back seat, and a back seat. A third seat that flipped up and faced out the rear window. The front 2 seats were for the regular family. Rear flip-up seat was for the mutant children, pets with intestinal disorders, and the visiting grandmother. The grandmother's always in the back, passed out, because they had their rear window down about 1.5 inches. She'd been breathing exhaust fumes all morning. And you have a 7-year-old boy in the back making dirty gestures out the rear window. That was me. Because I wanted to be in the seat with my grandmother. I love my grandmother. Whenever I see young people, I hope they have at least one grandparent in their life. Because grandparents love you like your parents cannot do. Because they don't have to live with you. I could never do anything wrong with my grandmother's eyes. My grandmother, everything I did, she praised me. Oh, look at that. Will you look? And I never thought of actually taping the bowl right on the cat. You are such a clever boy. You're right. That way the food is always there. My grandmother was born between generations, born in 1891, which means she lived long enough to make that transition that women had to make from stockings to pantyhose. But she was always old-fashioned. Even once she wore pantyhose, she could never get out of the habit of every night at 9 o'clock rolling them down to her ankles. I asked her one year what she wanted for Christmas, and she said scissors. My grandmother used to come and visit us every summer for 10 months. Now, we didn't have a guest room in our house, we had my room. And when my Nana would come to visit, she'd get my bed, and I'd sleep on the floor next to her and sleep. And my favorite day with her was Sunday. And we used to get up before the rest of the family. Well, first she would wake up, and then she'd wake me up. Technically, she'd step one. And we would go downstairs and watch TV. Of course, it wasn't like today. It wasn't 200 channels, high def, covers of wall. By the way, am I the only one? 200 channels? Never seems to be anything on. All I know, in 1963, we had about a 22-inch Philco television set. We had 5 channels, black and white, and there was always something. And my grandmother's favorite show was professional wrestling. My Nana loved Bruno San Martin. My favorite show was the old-time gospel. My dream as a child was to be a minister. I wanted to spend my life standing in front of hundreds of people and preaching the truth. And this is the closest I'll ever get. But both of these shows were on at the same time. And what did we do back then? You couldn't record one to watch later, so we would share. You'd watch a little of one show, and when the commercial came on, you'd flip the channel, a little of the other show. And in my little child's mind, as you flip back and forth, the 2 shows would combine. They would become the professional gospel wrestling hour. Friends, I want to remind you the Peace Crusade will be coming to Atlanta this Sunday afternoon at the War Memorial Auditorium, where I, the Thunderbolt, will destroy the gospel choir. Featuring Sister Ginny Hansen and my brother the Terminator. You people, you've seen me before. I've broken men's legs. I have made the cripple walk. One thing you can count on, someday the heavens will open up and I, the Thunderbolt, will pile drive Nature Boy into the depths of hell. So be there on Sunday, bring a friend, and I'll kill him. Long time, and Jeff was so generous to allow me to come in and entertain you. You gave me a gift as well as Jeff. Let me just tell you about Jeff. He's just a great comic, funny guy, and he's one of those people, he lives his faith. And I'm so lucky right now that I get to come out and sit with you and watch somebody that I've known for 30 years, but I haven't seen perform probably for 25 years. Would you please welcome very talented Mr. Jeff Allen.